Hi, I'm Mike Looney, the Superintendent of Schools in Fulton County. Thank you so much for joining this episode of Let's Talk Schools. Today I have a really special guest, Dr. Chris Matthews. Chris, welcome to the show. Tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I am currently the proud Assistant Superintendent of the Fulton County Schools. I've been here a little over 17 years, roughly, and have led various departments and divisions in the student support area.
So student support is the area that you supervise.
Yes.
What encompasses student support if people aren't familiar with that vernacular?
Sure. So student support encompasses a wide range of student support, such as support for our English language learners, support for student discipline, prevention, and intervention, where we teach kids appropriate behaviors and accountability. It encompasses our students with disabilities and providing exemplary supports for them. It includes our federal programs, where we leverage federal funds to support schools and teachers and programs and students. And then it also involves what we call our student support area, which is our wonderful counselors, psychologists, school social workers, and graduation coaches.
That is a lot of coverage. You have a huge job, so thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you.
I have to invite you back because every one of those topics that you just mentioned is probably 3 or 4 sessions. But today, let's talk a little bit about student safety.
Sure.
We've been engaged in lots of dialogue with lots of different entities and agencies about school safety. So can you kind of talk a little bit to our public about what the issues are as it relates to school safety and some of the things that we're doing?
Sure. So I think that we have been very vocal and very public, and I know you have talked about school safety. It's a very top priority for you. It's a top priority for our board, and it's a top priority for all of our school principals, who our primary goal is to educate students, but we have to do that in a safe and nurturing and secure environment. And when our students came back from the pandemic, some of them were away from us longer than others and disconnected from the structures of school and the daily routines. They did come back with some challenging behaviors that we did not expect and did not predict. And so those have unfortunately posed some safety risks in our schools. We have noticed an uptick in students who are solving conflicts in aggressive ways through fighting. We have observed an uptick in incidents where students either feel for self-protection or to follow through on some conflict they have, bring weapons to school. And so we've just seen several things come back into our schools that have posed risk to the safety and security, and therefore we have been working very diligently with both you, the board, and some community partners to build some programs and better supports to make our schools even safer.
Right. So I know that we can very easily get overwhelmed with the significance and the severity of some of the discipline cases that we deal with. But the truth is, most of our students come to school, behave very well.
Absolutely.
And the sky's not falling. Our schools are safe places for students most of the time.
Yes.
But we need to acknowledge that we have had some challenges this year. And we most recently met with the district attorney and all the law enforcement agencies to come together and to collaborate. What are some of the learnings or outcomes that are resultant from that meeting?
Yeah. First of all, I'm so glad you said that. We have wonderful students in the Fulton County school system, and you're right. The majority of them do the right thing every day and go to our schools ready to learn and ready to benefit from the high quality instruction and contribute to the safe culture and climate that we pride ourselves in Fulton. So thank you for reiterating that. But yes, we have been working. School safety is larger than a school or school system issue. Our students live in communities that have risk factors. The Atlanta metro area has an uptick in some challenges, and so it was very beneficial for us to reach out to key community partners. You mentioned the district attorney's office, who we have established a wonderful partnership with and have just wrapped up a grant writing phase together to build better supports for our schools and students. We recently collaborated with Commissioner Pitts, where you and he hosted a meeting where we did invite a lot of mayors, law enforcement, DFACs, other community child support agencies to come around the table, both acknowledge some of the concerns and challenges that we're facing, and then really brainstorm together on how we're going to tackle those. And what really came from that was, three to four large themes. One, in a district as geographically as large as Fulton, you're going to need communication and coordination. And so a lot of the strategies and solutions we talked about were establishing community liaisons, so that if Dr. Looney needs to call the DA's office or call the chief of police of Union City, we know that person, we know that number. If they need to call one of us because they have one of our students who have had challenges in the community, they know exactly who to call. So we very quickly established a liaison list and a communication protocol for that. Some of the other things that we agreed upon as a safety coalition team was getting our police units talking more and more with each other. We have, it's either 13 or 14 different police jurisdictions within the Fulton County boundaries. And so, again, communication coordination is going to be important as our students face challenges both in the home and community, and then some of those challenges come over into the school. Additional, supports we're looking at. I know that you have secured some additional campus security associates, both from the safety and security side, but then also you and the board have graciously given us 10 more social workers so that we can think more preventatively at our high schools on how to support our kids before they resort to solving conflicts in very extreme ways.
Sure. So what makes the news, the headlines in the news, is student makes a mistake and brings a gun to school. My understanding, though, is most often, probably in 99.9% of those cases, a student that has brought a gun to school had no intent to use the gun at school. They were bringing it for some other purpose, showing off to their friends, or didn't feel safe walking to school or going home, or trying to act tough. But when it boiled down to it, they had no intent. But at the same time, that's a non-starter in Fulton County. You bring a gun to school, you're going to get the most severe consequences, which from a criminal side will result in arrest and sure, you'll have to be adjudicated criminally. But from the district side, that means a referral for expulsion from Fulton County schools. For how long? Bringing a loaded or unloaded gun to any Fulton County school, as you said, leads to a discipline hearing with a consistent recommendation for permanent expulsion. And what that means for our families and our students is that you will no longer have the privilege and the right to attend any Fulton County school forever. So it is a permanent expulsion. And so we're trying to get the word out that true to what you just stated, and that in almost all of our situations, we don't feel like students had ill will when bringing these weapons, but we also know that a lot of gun deaths are accidental gun deaths. There may not be any ill will, and so kids and teachers and staff can still be hurt. And so we take a very firm line on weapons on our campus, and it has very serious consequences. Well, thank you for sharing that. Let me dig into one other issue that I know that we've been tackling this year. Our students have come back and seem a little bit more aggressive than they were pre-pandemic. And they've resorted to trying to resolve those conflicts with physical altercations. Sure. But we've had a number of, two boys get into a fight in the bathroom. The next thing you know, there's 3 or 4 kids involved, and then we got a more challenging situation on our hand. Yes. But we've kind of ratcheted down on those, and we're holding firm on those. So what happens if some kids get into a group fight? Sure.
Well, group fights are, as you summarized very nicely, are very, very disruptive. They can disrupt the learning from anywhere from a small group of kids to the entire school. They can cause injuries, serious sometimes, and so we, to your point, have taken a firm stance on those as well. A group fight, if you participate in a group fight in the Fulton County schools, it is an automatic 10-day suspension. It's considered a Tier 4 offense in our Code of Conduct. It leads to 10 days of suspension with a referral to a discipline hearing that can result in anything from long-term suspension, which is up to a semester, up to permanent expulsion, which we just talked about. And so there are very serious consequences, and again, this is out of a need to make sure that we have undisrupted, safe, secure, and supportive learning environments for our students.
So, being in the school business, you've been at this for a long time. The last thing that any school official wants to do is expel or suspend a student.
Absolutely.
but we are acting as the caregivers of thousands and thousands of students in our schools, and so we have to have some firm lines in the sand. But that's not why we come to work every day. We don't come to work every day thinking, who can we suspend, and hoping somebody's going to get into a fight. And your work involves the other side, not just the discipline side, but the counseling side, the social emotional supports, the social worker side. So we have just a minute or two left, but let's talk about that part of the work. That's a lot more fun to talk about.
Yes, yeah. To your point, it's a little bit futile to tackle things on the reactive side, and so we have a very preventative, proactive lens here. And I think our board and our superintendent has a preventative lens and has pushed us to look at even more proactive approaches. So to your point, we have a cadre of school psychologists and wonderful school counselors and school social workers who are running groups. We've implemented support such as restorative circles, where we work collaboratively and cooperatively with a group of students to solve conflicts before they get to the point that they feel like they need to take some extreme measure. We are really, our grant writing I just talked about is really bringing more of our community partners and our law enforcement into the schools to build relationships with kids. We're looking at ways to strengthening our mentoring programs, so that's a more robust program, so our kids have someone to rely on and to go to should they find themselves in conflict. So ever since you came to Fulton, you said relationships matter, and that is the key to keeping kids out of trouble. It is building trusting, high quality, transparent relationships with them, both with their folks at home and their families, but also the families that we have to offer them in our schools. And so we are working very diligently to make sure most of our effort and our resource is on the preventative side.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I know we have so many resources available to our students and their families on their computer screen, on their desktop. There's a little icon. If they need help, they simply click on that and they can report something that they're concerned about. We have a tip line, a hotline for help. So thank you and all the people that you're in charge of supervising and coordinating that work for the benefit of our kids. And so I just want to ask you in closing, if you could give any advice to students and their parents right now as it relates to safety, as it relates to discipline, and dealing with these types of conflicts that we're seeing not just in schools but in our communities. We've had parents get in fights at bus stops and in school offices. What would be your best advice for our students right now?
I think the best advice is that we all need to band together and recognize we're all teachers of our youth. Whether you're a parent, whether you're a faith-based leader, you're a teacher, you're a counselor, whether you're a police officer, it is all of our responsibilities to teach them the right way and to teach them both what we expect and then to hold them accountable for when they fall short of that. And so they look at us as role models whether we like it or not, and they're watching us at all times. And so how we handle conflict, how we interact with one another, the respect or lack thereof that we show to another human being, they pick up on that. And then that becomes their model for behavior. And so I think that just to remind all of us that we carry a very important responsibility to model what's right for all of our students.
Students are always watching us.
That's right.
May not be listening to what we have to say,
right.
but are watching our actions, and they learn a lot from our actions. Yes. Thank you for coming today.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining Let's Talk Schools. Students, if we have any students watching today, please, 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 if you are in need of support, if you feel some aggression building up, please talk to somebody at your school, talk to your parents. We have all the resources necessary to support you. Parents, the same thing. If you're concerned about something, please, please, please reach out to somebody at your child's school. It takes all of us working together to make a difference. We love your children. We're honored to serve them. It's a privilege, we know it, and thank you for letting us do so. Have a great day.